As you're sitting there, you see first of all Lucius walk in, looking slightly serious and slightly, perhaps amiss. Then you see Iona sort of launch herself head first through the doorway, briefly followed by Maverick and a completely naked Alamore wearing a cloak and some leaves.
Jesus, what the fuck is going on here?
Welcome along to Drathnor Keep, Chapter 3. My, how time does fly. Today, playing with me, I have Elora.
Hello, I'm Elora. I'm playing Kenna. She is a Fire Genasi Drake Warden Ranger.
I have Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'll be playing Maverick, who is a necromantic sorcerer.
I have Jamal.
Hey, Jamal here, playing Leovold, unstable wild magic sorcerer.
I have Kieran.
Hello, I'm Kira, and I'll be playing Lucius Claudius Festorius, future Lord and Master of the destroyed Drathnor Keep, an Elegant Monk.
And I have Matt.
Hello, I am Matt. I am playing Rook, who is an orc barbarian, and I just killed my dad last episode, so let's see how he is moving forward.
And unfortunately today I do not have with me the Priest of Christmas Music, Brother Larry Slade. He is turning 30 tomorrow. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a great evening. Apparently he's spent the evening with his parents before partying away tomorrow with friends and fam. So we wish him the best. Hope you had a good day, and he will be with us next week.
And before we start, I've just noticed Kenna's new fan art. So good.
It's fantastic.
So
I mean,
good.
yeah, just because there's no Alari this week, we're just going to make it really large, and we're going to give you this whole skirt. Next week you won't be, but
She is ambassador now,
why not?
so...
Ambassador Kenna Shirasso, needs some space. Well, there's not much point in having that map up on the screen, is there? Because, well, it's crumbled and in ruins.
It is no more. There's a big dead dragon.
I know,
I know
it's no laughing matter, but frankly, I find it quite amusing.
Well, that map's never getting seen ever again.
Somewhat like okay.
We'll just rebuild it exactly the same.
Last week, many things happened, but a few of relevance. You stumbled through the ruins of Drathnor Keep to find that this is actually unclickable. Please give me a moment. I don't understand. Just...
What have you done?
It won't let me click. What? Anyway, I'm going to try and talk at the same time. I don't know what... I can't talk at the same time. You guys are just going to have to wait for this to cooperate. Sorry.
So we've currently landed in Meladeth, have we not?
How is everyone?
Not bad. I guess I am a little tired. I didn't think I would be.
Oh, it's been a long day. We did just see a dragon evaporate into the sky.
Yeah, you did. Oh man.
Are you alright, Maverick?
I mean, I'm okay. I think I'm slowly getting over the fact that I've just seen my parents dead. But the embraces of a strong man really helps put everything into perspective.
When in doubt, hug it out, right?
Exactly.
Decided to change what we're
I'm
showing.
gonna dry hump my way to happiness.
Good evening, Kibla. How are you? Thank you for popping by. Hey, Darth. How are you? We're having a bit of a... I don't know what we want to call this. It's not even a technological issue at this point. It's just a fucking mess.
Do we call it a James moment?
No, because it's like... It just doesn't make any sense why certain things are not clickable on the screen.
I believe I'm hungry.
I was fucking starving, but I just had some quiche. It was very good. Okay. I'm assuming you were talking about Lucius.
I thought
never mind.
I'm kind of destroyed, so I'm sure we can pillage a couple of the shops.
The last thing we had was alcohol, I believe.
I've just put an image in front of that. Sorry.
Yep.
We'll do it again in a second. There should have been a duck right on top of Maladeth, but unfortunately I've just putting the image in when Kibla was so generous. So let us fuck about for a bit more. You'd never think that I actually prep for sessions, would you? Because as soon as I come in, nothing works anyway. There we go. Okay, hello, welcome to the Quack Pack. May you enjoy your stay. So, rewind. Today, Cal's not playing, he's 30. Happy birthday, lovely. I have some people playing with me. You can see their names on the screen. From top corner, that's Josh. That's Jamal, sorry. That's Josh. That's... I don't know how to point down there. That's Kira. That's Matt. And that's Alora. And to recap last session, they lost their families, lost their homes. Their whole world was turned to rubble. It was fairly depresso espresso. Kenna managed to save her mother. Rook managed to kill his own dad. Yeah, you know, Big Dragon Dude died. That was kind of epic, but none of my players noticed, so I wouldn't worry about it. Maldranic, the person who's been their guide and leader in some ways so far, and in some ways has been their nemesis, according to Maverick.
Guardian leader.
Guide and leader. He was never your guardian. He was a shit one of those.
He's been my arch
fair-
nemesis this whole time.
To be fair, most of us were inside, so we wouldn't have seen it anyway.
True enough, true enough. And those who were outside ignored it completely. Nevertheless, the Lady Celine, fourth in line to the throne, quickly became first in line to the throne and then became queen. As the group decided, well, Maverick decided to murder the king. He didn't quite mean to, but
okay,
it happened anyway.
first of all, I didn't decide. It's not like I decided it myself. I mean,
He needed to
sure,
go.
I didn't really take a vote, but I didn't kill him. I
Already
didn't.
dead.
I mean, you did kill him, you just didn't mean to, as he ate the glass of your beaker and killed himself.
I mean, if I had my way, he could have still been useful.
And we discovered that he turned upon death into a strange purple monster, of which you know very little. But the name Ravenesca was thrown about. Alas. And what will you find out and where? So, with Celine going to Gorena, escorted by Beniego, a few strange happenings have happened recently that perhaps the group wants some answers to. First of all, the whole of the bloody country went to war. Well, the whole of the continent went to war with Halgania. That left you guys feeling a bit shitty. There were dragons sighted where dragons should not be sighted. There was an entire dwarven army sighted twice, according to rumours. And one of its leaders sighted in two completely different places within days of each other. Strange things that don't add up. So, to find answers, the party was sent to Maladeth, the trade capital of the whole of Eldessa, the whole of the continent. And you were given a contact by the name of Valus, a drow, outside the city, where Celine was able to teleport you to, or nearby at least. And she's told you to look out for a large mansion on the side of the road. As the party arrive with teleportation, it is early afternoon. It's a pleasant enough day. The sun is high in the sky. Birds are flying. It's like there's no war upon the land. Strange.
I don't know about anyone else, but I believe I need a bath.
Mansion first, bath later.
Oh, fine. I don't like the feel of my own skin currently.
As you set on down the track that Selena suggested, please can somebody give me a survival check to break the trail and work out where you're going? See whether you
suppose
know
that's
which
me.
way northeast is. I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's find out.
16.
Yeah, it's you. As you work out which way northeast is and you head on down the track, give me a perception check.
$17.
16.
It's alright, Ken was just rendering everybody pointless. Yes, with your excellent perception check, you are able to see the spires of Maladeth far, far in the distance. Perhaps a day's journey and a bit. And more importantly, in the closer area, you see that the path winds into a forest. Shortly in a small distance, and as you guys head down the road, you arrive at the beginning of the forest, and as soon as you step into the canopy of the trees, you see a mansion sheltered in between a group of trees.
That's a rather unusual spot. Interesting.
It's beautifully made. Using 2 trees as actually part of the structure at the back. And at the front, 2 trees bend over as an arch over the doorway. A lovely balcony is up top. In the front is a large double door with a great brass knocker.
I'm a little on edge, so as we approach, I want to be looking for traps.
I'm gonna summon Edgar. And I'm gonna get him to fly towards the mansion, like look in the window, stuff like that, and I'll look through his eyes to see
Okay.
what he sees.
Give me a perception check for him. Can it give me an investigation check and a perception check, please?
I'll keep my eyes on the perimeter.
Natural 20 on investigation.
Okay.
Even with advantage, I'm still shit, so.
Oh dear. Well, at least your modifier is a bit higher because you're looking through the eyes of a raven, so that's a 9. Well, regardless, he is able to tell you one simple piece of information. The windows downstairs are blacked out. However, as are the windows upstairs. But what you are able to see is that on the balcony, a door is open, casting a shaft of light into what appears to be a large library upstairs. It's well kept and elegant, but you don't see anybody about.
Can I send Edgar in there?
Yes. You do so. And as you do, you see again behind another large sort of covering. Raven sort of moves over. You see the entrance to another room, a drawing room, where sits one drow, with a glass of wine in hand. He hasn't yet noticed Edgar, but you realise that moving any closer he would. Kenna, sorry, what was your perception check first?
Perception was 19.
Okay, you also notice that the windows are blacked out. You notice that at the very far edges, both to the right and left of the building, are 2 spiders that you know do not belong in this realm. Or at least not in this forest. They sit motionless, perched upon a large purple web, staring out over you all. As you make your investigation check, you do see some traps, but none obstructing you from knocking on the door. You notice that the windows, were you to try and break in through one, are coated in some poison within the pane, and there is a dart trap on 2 of them. Yep.
Just going to put my hand on Maverick and say, "Do you see anything?"
Yeah, there's a drow upstairs drinking wine by himself. I don't know if there's anyone else in the house. But
You think there may be Valas? We were told he'd be a drow near Meladeth. He'd be our contact for Litalin.
it's possible.
You're also told to look for a mansion on the way where Valos would live, so...
Sorry, just to clarify, where are these otherworldly spiders?
So as you look at the large mansion house at the very far right and left of them, so if you remember I said there were 2 trees that sort of curved over as an arch over the doorway. They're sort of in the beginning of those trees next to the trunks.
Okay, so they're pretty close to the mansion then.
Yes, and they're also quite close to you. You can assume that if they are keeping watch, they have seen you.
Okay, great. I'm gonna bring Edgar back.
Okay.
Well, I don't mind being the guinea pig here. If everyone wants to hide, I will call out.
I don't know that there's any point in hiding.
I don't think so either. Valas, are you here?
The doors
Is this
swing open.
Well, that's our answer.
Hmm.
I'm just going to walk ahead.
It is dark inside, but not horribly so, just dimly lit.
Okay. I'm going to walk inside. Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm out in 5 minutes,
As
come
you-
looking for me.
As you head inside, you see him descending the stairs. And he nods gravely. I do not recognize you. How come you to find me?
Lady Celine.
Well, in that
Or
case...
should I say Queen Celine?
Yes, Her Majesty. Please, just for your party to come in. I'll provide food and drinks, and I have some rooms you may stay in this evening.
Can they see me from where I am?
Yeah, I mean, if they're looking in the doorway, they'll be able to see you.
Okay. I was gonna be like, Velas, how long have you been out here by yourself?
Look, so I don't tend to count centuries, but
Okay.
at least 5 of them.
You want to have a bit of fun?
I always like a bit of fun.
Nice. Pretend you're choking me. I'll scream.
He steps over and places his hand gently against the side of your neck, and his thumb.
Jesus Christ! By the morning, Lord, I'm being choked! Don't come in here, friends! Run! Run, please!
Do we at all believe him?
Give me a deception check, Lucius.
I'll roll a deception check. That is a 4 for a 6.
Yeah, what kind of lie is that?
Okay. And then, as you're watching, you see bits of Lucius being thrown out the door. First his head, then his arm, blood around them. Now you might believe. Give me an insight check.
Okay.
I roll a nat 20.
I rolled a 7, I believe it.
Rook, you see that this hand is not particularly like Lucius's. And it's not moving in the slightest. It's just sort of bouncing statically. The hand doesn't quiver at all. Maverick.
I yell out to the woods the mansion. Nice party trick. Where'd you learn that one?
Maverick, you, however, in total belief that bits of Lucius are being thrown at you.
I am running over there, like sprinting. Lucius! No!
Okay, as you run in, make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm
I
gonna
would've
pick
been
up
running
one
with
of the
her.
arms.
That's a 19.
Okay, you are able to jump over the mage hand that tries to trip you up. And as you run in, as you jump over, you turn around to see Kenna holding one of Lucius's arms and doing sort of strange tricks with it and scratching her back. You realise that perhaps you've been had. And standing before
Funny
you
guys. Jeez.
is a drow laughing, and he says, "Please, come in. Close the door. I apologise for our silliness. If you wouldn't mind closing the door, the eyes are sensitive to my light. Yes, the eyes are sensitive to my light. And I'm going to stick with that no matter what. So please, come on in.
You tried.
And he lights a few more candles around the room with a few gestures.
Thank you, Velas. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a really good trick.
I don't see...
Grim, but I dig it.
I don't so many travellers here of a more pleasant inclined. I don't know whether you're aware, but I am the furthest outpost outside of Maladeth for the Silent other than other cities. And therefore, it is my job to report news to them, but also to, well...
Wait, I'm sorry. So the one was on the Silent?
Yes, I report to both the Silent and to His Majesty that is no longer. I'm sure that Celine would like to set up a similar deal. So, I understand you've come seeking me. May I guess that you are travelling to Maladeth on behalf of the Queen?
Precisely.
And do any of you come with title?
I
Finish
suppose
that.
that would be me.
Oh. I heard rumours that a new ambassador to Drathnor Keep must be put in place, and, well, given the change from Lorelei, I must assume it's you. I do like their pretty ambassadors, I might say. Come, what kind of host am I? Come and take a seat. Let me get you some wine, let me get you a selection of food, and perhaps we'll arrange for you all to have a nice long evening, a restful bath, and good bed for the night before we get you to Maladeth in the morning. And we can
Sounds
discuss how you would like to approach Maladeth. And he heads into the kitchen, and you can see he's a very practiced host. Soon, decanters of wine, goblets, a large decanter of water comes out. And Brother Alari turns to him. I apologize, I'm really not feeling very well. I think I might take rest, and yes, I'll show you your room upstairs. And he takes Brother Alari upstairs, and Brother Alari turns to you. Don't worry, yesterday was a lot. I drained lots of my resources trying to keep the city folk alive. I need some time.
You deserve a rest.
Yeah.
And as he is led upstairs and comes back down, Valas then presents some large platters of hams and cheeses and various fruits. Sits at the head of the table. And, I must say I'm intrigued. Before anything, let me tell you a little of myself, and then perhaps I might ask some questions of you. Valas Hoon, once a spy for Ekranzir, in the city of the Drow, and a scout. About 800 years ago now, I found myself in disagreement with the ways of the Drow. I did not believe in their methods, nor in their madness, and frankly, their matriarchal society. I felt like I wanted to be important somewhere, so I left. For many years, and even to this day, the sunlight still hurts my eyes, but I found a place operating within the shadows, somewhat within the night. I began working for the Silent about 350 years ago. I never wanted a full amount of power, but little things, information gathering, the passing of messages. I travel swiftly at night. I have a sharp mind, if I might say so myself. And since leaving my home, I've also picked up the ways of the cleric. And began to pray to my god of twilight. But
Sounds like the Silent was a perfect match then.
it has suited me well, and they have treated me well. I will tell no lie, but the more interesting turn came 126 years ago. And that I do remember clearly. So I was approached by a man who threatened me quite severely. And let me tell you, I don't respond well to threats. But soon after, I discovered that I was sorely outmatched. He coerced me into passing the occasional bit of information to the royals. And later on, I found myself being very well looked after by them. Soon the Silent came to realize that this was not particularly disadvantageous to them. And as such, I have been fulfilling that contract for the last 126 years, and that contract is as follows. I will do everything I can to help the royals and give them any information from other cities and other countries. I will not divulge the secrets of the Silent themselves, nor of any upcoming hits that do not involve the royal family directly. But other than that, I report everything as I receive it.
Did you not receive any information about what's recently taken place?
That which I did, I reported. But recently, there has been no contact with the king. Perhaps 6 days ago, 5 days ago, we relayed him a message that the orcs would attack Drathnor Keep, but somehow it seems that didn't reach him. Or at least if it did, he paid it no mind. We sent a message to Teluria about the coming of the Genasi. But, again, no mind was paid.
Intercepted, perhaps?
No, our messages reported back. One spoke to the Elven Queen herself. One to the king himself. Though he said the king was out of sorts.
But the queen seemed normal to him.
That she did, although he said that he felt a very strange passing as he left the area. He reported seeing the same man twice, in 2 different places along the road, as if the man had overtaken him and then come from the other direction. But on the second meeting, the man did not recall meeting him at all.
Why do I feel like this is something we've seen before?
Well,
Yes, with Beneko.
most recently we have heard that you undertook a diplomatic mission to Teluria, and reports of a whole dwarven army appearing twice upon the doorstep of the Elven lands. Filtered out from
as I expected you to be.
over 600 different people reported seeing the dwarven army on both days. First in front of you, and then behind you. They arrived, departed, and then arrived again, with no memory of having ever come before. In fact, I believe you're the only travellers who did not all arrive twice. I may assume that you only remember arriving once?
Indeed. That's correct.
But the Lady Danietta, the Lady Kenna, and the brother Alari were seen arriving the day before.
They arrived twice.
They did. And they departed quickly to Garena, stating pressing business.
Someone has their likeness?
No, we don't believe so. Last month, we can date the events almost to exactly 22nd of last month. 4 days before the assassinations. When the replenishment of the wards upon Teluria took place.
This is beyond anything I can understand or figure out, but is it possible that there is something untoward with the very reality of what we experience now?
This is our suspicion. We have a man who keeps watch in Teluria, who sits on the very boundaries. He sees some people enter and not go through to the other side, and some people enter, go through to the other side, and enter again the following day. Nothing, he has reported, makes any sense at all, but he is definitely sound of mind. I've sent 3 other men to confirm. All of them report the same thing.
I have a DM question.
Yeah.
Just real quick. So, like, is time magic a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, then I'm gonna say to everyone, if someone was capable of manipulating time, then they could easily, I don't know about easily, but they could manipulate in such a way that the surrounding areas in a loop.
You think
And that's why
fast.
people are being repeating, but
That-
seeing the same
That was
thing.
our first assumption. The only problem is that everybody who arrives the first time, states pressing business and leaves within 6 hours. But the second time they often stay. If it was a time loop, they would do the same thing each time, would they not?
Well,
Makes
I
no
mean,
sense.
we've
There's
we've
something.
also dealt with doppelgangers are not the right word.
Doppelgangers exist, but that's not what we're expecting.
Yeah, that's not the right word. I don't know what the right word.
I have a theory of my own, though the makings of the
Please.
magic is beyond me.
What's
I
your
knew
theory?
once of a great chronologist and divination wizard. He's dead now, sadly. He would have been able to do something similar to this. Perhaps. He grew up in the lands of Jazuk. But he was an immortal man. He was an Asimo. And he was able to... Josh says, divination wizard that's dead. Bet he didn't see that coming. Yes, cheers for that. Well, let it...
Thanks, I hate it.
Regardless, he talks on about her. You see, this man could demonstrate a foreshadowing in real time. What he believed would happen, he could make appear upon the land. But only for one event and only for one person. What this appears to be is some sort of curtain of foreshadowing.
I do not like where this is going.
Well, the advantage, of course, is that if you knew it was in place and you saw people arriving the day before, you'd be able to prepare for their arrival the following day.
And why some and not others?
Everyone apart from Lucius, Leovold, and Rook, and Maverick has been foreshadowed. Everyone.
So why them?
I believe on the day they were inside a cart of extra-dimensional properties.
Oh.
That is my theory. But, as I said, it is magic that is beyond me. It is merely a theory.
Well.
Oh, sorry, there was one other person who wasn't seen as present, or two other people, I guess. Eldrin and Alan Moore. The lady, Lorelei, was in the cart behind and therefore was foreshadowed, but the cart in front was your group, minus Daniela and Kenna, who sat up front. But Brother Larry was seen. He was hanging out of the cart at one point.
Well, these events are
Disturbing.
Depressing
this
talk
calls-
for dinner.
Yeah, I believe this calls for wine. and food.
Help yourself, please. There is a spread out before you, and you may all partake.
You're very generous.
well,
host,
taking
thank you.
this into consideration. The one thing I can say is there's one thing I heard. I'm not sure if I had read it somewhere or if someone said it somewhere, but when you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. These events are incredibly unlikely, and
they are but one theory. My own
Yes.
theory. I'm sure there are people who are far more intelligent than I who have theories that make more sense, but as I said, it reminds me of the foreshadowing that the great Jahar once used to.
but it certainly makes more sense than the entire world being
Jahir,
insane.
actually, sorry. It's Jahir, not Jahar. I've misread his name.
I still don't understand why, if the Queen was warned of the attack, she didn't do anything.
Neither of
I mean, people died.
What if she had no memory of it because this forewarning does not necessarily, stay in everyone's minds?
We have somebody watching
Just
the Queen
a random
closely.
thought.
You see, there is one issue that we haven't understood. A changing of the wards such as this? Magic this powerful? The Queen is an incredibly powerful sorceress. You would think she would detect it, understand it. Something. It's her own lands. She's said to be more powerful within her own lands than anyone else. I've known of the Elven Queen for a long, long time, and I've never had any reason to suspect her, but we never know.
The king was taken over. It's not impossible.
No, it is not. Though highly improbable, given that the Queen rarely leaves the side of her compatriots at any given time. Unlike the king, who ventured from meeting to meeting and even from city to city, the Queen remains within her lands and chambers months at a time. Alas, these events are beyond me, but there is much else we must speak of. Firstly, we must speak of your entrance to Aladeth. But before that, I said I would tell you a little of myself. I'd like to learn a little of you. Leovold. I heard of your healing at the hands of the Queen. And of your coming into new powers. Have you had any time to exercise them?
Not really, no. And to be honest, there's been more on my mind and more concerning me, more that I want to do than really investigate this to the fullest. It's something I should do.
Perhaps I
Given
might work
time.
with you to teach you a simple trick later this evening that may help you investigate your own mind a little further and understand your own abilities a little more.
Okay.
I
That
am
sounds
what's known
interesting.
as a mind healer.
Ah.
I believe it is something you may be
I
able to
believe I've-
replicate a little bit.
I believe I've heard of that briefly in passing. Only the briefest of mentions, but pretty sure I have heard of this before.
I would not be surprised if you hadn't. The Lady Celine has some abilities in that aspect.
That explains a lot.
She was working with you, was she not?
Yeah, quite a bit.
You may find her a little less available as a tutor these days.
Yeah, that's exactly the other thing I was thinking. It's just gonna have to be how it is.
In turns to Lucius. And you must be the one they call Lucius Claudius Festorius, or at least that is how you introduced yourself. I've heard rumour of you upon the wind, though we have not had the chance to see your face yet.
Well, hello. Yes, it is me.
You haven't
Ask
been
away.
to the Aldo Monastery before, have you?
I haven't, no. Been too busy running around with everyone here, keeping them safe.
But you train in their arts, do you not?
Indeed I do.
Well, there is a man known to have similar powers. He once was a man of the Aldo Monastery, although he's now one of the Grand Council of Maladeth.
Interesting.
He goes by the simple name of Rez.
Oh, yes.
And he's unusual. He's old but strong, nimble, and he doesn't seem to age any further. Should you wish to learn a little more of your arts, he may be worth speaking to.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like something I would love to do. I'm always willing to learn anyway.
He looks to Maverick. I know little of you. I know that you travel with this group. And rumor says you have some unusual magic. But that is all I hear. Pray tell me a little of yourself.
What would you like to know?
Many things. What do you dream about? Your ambitions, your hopes for the future, sorry. Not what you dream when you sleep at night. Perhaps a badly phrased question.
Probably would have been an easier answer.
Wow.
What do I dream for? World peace?
Well, a man who struggles that much.
Truthfully, I don't often. I try not to look too deeply into the future, because as much happiness can be found, a lot of sadness can as well. So I try to keep my thoughts on the present.
Perhaps you are wiser than you know. Surely, some of the most frightening men are those with the largest ambitions. As he says this, he sort of glances over towards Lucius, glances back, but he doesn't say anything out of place. I find myself intrigued by you, Maverick, correct?
Yes,
He is intriguing.
thank you.
Would you mind, if it is not prying, telling me a little about your magic?
Why do you want to know?
Call me an old spy who likes information. And I'm a sucker for a good story.
It's not much of a story. My magic is specialized in the necrotic nature. Not so much summoning as much as just the general feel of necrotic energies.
Interesting. My mother would have found you fascinating. But never mind.
Maybe I'll summon her one day.
Yes, well, she was still alive, I believe, and still as evil as ever. So, perhaps don't do that. Regardless, I'll come back to you. I have something to ask of you, but it's a little personal at the moment.
I don't mind.
How did you come by your magic?
Right, that is personal. Why do you want to know? You seem awfully inquisitive.
I am. And that is the foibles of somebody who spends their whole time gathering information, but there is more to this. Something calls to me. Energy that I sense from you. But I don't know what.
Well, the short story is that as a kid, I went into an abandoned church and came across a as like Maverick is like kind of like almost reliving what had happened like in his head. He goes like, I mean, he's pretty pale anyways, but goes a bit paler and like big, like clammy.
He gestures out to take your hand as you speak.
Maverick's probably he's not even going to realize.
You feel yourself calm a little.
I saw a monster and I saw dead bodies, and then
There. That's where the magic comes from. Not from the fear, but the bodies. These spirits still walk with you, don't they?
in a manner of speaking.
Must be crowded.
Must be what?
Crowded.
They only appear when I use my magic.
Then you must be very strong of willpower. Key of lesser strength would be forced to bleed the magic continually to allow them to come forth. If you were to, say, summon your powers right now, but not do anything with them, a small trickle of magic would escape, but you could do it almost indefinitely, and the spirits would be with you all the time.
Why would I do that?
Indeed. Unless you are under the influence of these spirits, why would you do that? Like I said, a man of great willpower. Whether you know it or not.
But what benefit would I have from having them around me all the time?
You wouldn't, but they would. That is usually how possession starts. Although, not direct possession, of course. But these spirits, they must have a reason for their existence. They must want something. Usually the first step would be to encourage you to become reliant on them, use them as much as possible.
I don't think I use them per se. They more just, to my knowledge, manifest themselves.
I'll think on this. If anything comes to mind, I'll let you know, but certainly strange.
Okay.
He looks over to Rook.
Maverick's gonna leave the house.
Okay, at the front door.
Yes.
Okay, please do. We'll come to you shortly. Looks to Rook, I understand that you have not had the easiest of times recently.
I have not. I'm sure you have heard many things about who my real father is. Well, we had an introduction, our first introduction, and
And an
it was
outroduction,
also our
I
last.
hear. Yes. It must be strange to face your heritage in such a way. Perhaps less strange to me. In the Drow society, familial love is rare at best. Most of us grow up hating our parents.
I don't understand why, just by blood, everyone of my kind has to be inherently evil. It does not have to be like that.
I've been asking the same question for 600 years. As yet, I have not found an answer. I'll let you know if anything comes up. What do you know of your sister?
What?
Your sister?
We hadn't gotten around to that.
You don't know?
I don't have a sister.
I'm afraid to tell you that you do. You have a brother and a sister.
What? A brother and a sister?
Yes. My brother is known to be ruthless and violent and everything the father wanted in a son, although he was also stupid, which didn't help him up so much. But Ulna, now, she's something different. She was born to a new woman after your mother left. She is young, but she believes she sees Grumsh in her thoughts. And she pushes the orcs to ways of more wanton destruction and violence than they have ever been pushed to before. She has far more influence than even your father had.
How young is she?
4 years, your junior.
Can't believe this.
She also has very close ties to the gnomes. And we believe it is her that brought people over.
My own blood are the ones that are turning on everyone. The reason Drathnor Keep has been destroyed.
Well, I think the gnomes might have had more to do with that than the orcs, but I can agree with you to an extent.
Why would my mother keep my brother from me? She has never once mentioned anyone else.
I can't answer that question for you. Perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of kindness. I don't know her reasoning, but one thing may comfort you. Your mother is well as of 2 days ago. And will
That's good to
protect you.
hear. I was getting worried, but that at least brings a little light to this fucked up day.
Good. Lady Kenna, I haven't much to tell you that you don't already know, but you come with the ambassador's power now. Is that correct?
I'll be honest. It's been a long day and I can hardly wrap my head around it.
Well, I guess to you will fall the responsibility of reporting to the council. I will tell you more about them in the morning, but it is fair to say that the Council of Maladeth does not always run Maladeth.
Who does?
Everyone and no one, if I was going to be honest. There are some aspects of Maladeth that are run by the Council, indeed. There are some that are run by its merchants and its merchant guilds. And it doesn't matter what the Council do, they will continue to remain the same forevermore. There are some aspects that are run by the Silent. And there are some that are run by the King from afar. Or Her Lady the Queen, I guess. Though she has not yet made any inroads here. I understand that the group of you may wish to approach boldly and with diplomatic arms opened wide and use your power and sway, but I urge you, tread softly. She turns to Alamor. And you? What do these people know of your heritage? Alamar looks down. I imagine some of them suspect. At least one of them knows. No, perhaps doesn't understand. Notes. I will not pry your secrets from you in public. But it might be, yes, she is. It might be worth sharing a little bit with your party. Before travelling on, I will tell you that Maladeth tests every man and every woman in their own way. It is a city, a vast city of temptation, of greed, and of power. Lamar nods. Yes, I've been here many times before. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps my friends should know. Looks lastly to Iona, and I don't believe I know who you are. But I do know what you are. How did you come by your heritage? She looks up. I was fostered at a very young age within Drathnor Keep. My true parents are not known to me. Though, as you say, what they are is fairly clear. I romanticize about a gentleman coming down from Yeldor and breaking his vows for a beautiful elven woman. And me being the perfect embodiment of both, but that doesn't explain why they left me on the side of the road, does it? Who cares about my past? It's the future. She raises
That's
her goblet
more
to
like
you all.
it.
Well, quite a formidable force you brought with you. Please, dine freely, and there are rooms upstairs, bathrooms, bedrooms. If the door is locked, it is mine. If it is not, it is yours to use. I will be going to Maladeth this evening. I travel swiftly, then you will be able to. And I would like to make some investigations and see whether we can find you a quiet path in should you wish it. And perhaps a contact should you wish to go less excuse me with the hiccups. Contact should you like to go less quietly. I will return before dawn. There's more wine in the cupboard.
Perfect. That's what I was going to ask. That was
Gestures
my next
towards
question.
it, and he heads out. And at that moment we will take a short break. Hello and welcome back, as we have fast-forwarded through the lore dump. I will be giving it to you all, but I thought I would allow our party to get it where in a situation where they can ask questions and write things down. So, as the evening meanders on, you are all left to your own devices in the house of Valasun.
I think I would probably pour myself another cup of wine and take a walk around the grounds outside and just enjoy the night air. And perhaps I can see Maladeth from where I am, correct?
Not in the forest, but there's a short
Not in the
walk outside
forest.
the forest to look at the spires.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Maverick, you left the house. Where did you go?
I'm just sat on the step outside.
Oh, not long afterwards, you seen Lucius come out. Lucius, do you stop to talk to him, or do you walk on by?
I'll look down at Maverick. How are you looking, Maverick? Are you looking a bit sad? Are you looking lost? How are you looking?
He's looking kind of like, yeah, a little bit upset.
If that's the case, I'll sit down and hand him over my cup. Want a drink?
Do you have more?
No, you can have it.
Oh no, I meant like.
No,
You
I
wanted
just
a bottle, not a glass.
Like, if you have like a ball, he'll down it. If you don't, then he won't, because that's rude.
no, that's in the house. I'm giving you my cup because I see that you're struggling, and then you know what? You need it more than I do.
Okay, sure, he will neck it.
There we go. Perfect. What's wrong? Why did that upset you so much?
I haven't thought about that day in a long time. I thought I'd forgotten about it, to be honest.
Oh, past isn't easily forgotten. And it'll always come back to you. And you have to face it eventually.
No, I knew that was going to happen. It's too soon.
Yeah.
My, these birds and deer are so loud.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I mean, you know all about that, wouldn't you, Blue Eyes? And then he's gonna wink at you.
Be careful where you're winking. Your boyfriend's in there. Don't want to get you in trouble.
He's not my boyfriend. We're not official.
He's not. Oh, not official.
No,
Like I didn't see you.
He's just someone I like.
I bet you over here giving tiaras to him.
No,
You gave him a kiss.
It's not a tiara. It's a circlet. First of all,
Sorry, a circlet.
A man of fashion should know such a thing.
I mean, listen. I'm just busting your chops, really, but.
Besides, I don't think I really had the time to sit around and contemplate relationships with everything going on.
Well, you know, this is the first time we've actually been able to slow down in quite a while. Maybe you should. Valas is gone for the evening. It's just us.
True. But then, I mean, if one of you guys walks in on us and then I have to invite you into the bed, and it all just gets so very complicated.
We just put Leovold in front. He'll fireball anyone who walks past.
I mean, I know you're joking, but...
Am I?
I had a lot of careers in mind for Leovold when I wrote this. Episode. Dorgard was not one of them.
I don't know. He might get a bit jealous and fireball us instead.
Well, that's truly none of your business, really. I'm pretty sure the door have locks. Listen, how about I tell everyone to just, stay away from the upstairs for about.
No, I don't want to unnaturally force anything.
I don't think it'd be unnatural, looking how he looks at you.
I don't know about that. Besides, don't you have anyone to shack up with? There's some nice trees out here.
What trees? Yeah, I guess. But, no. I believe it'd be inappropriate if I were to act on that. Either way, I think I need to take a walk.
Okay. Before you do, can I ask you something?
Of course, anything.
What do you think is gonna happen?
With what? With this whole war going on, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maverick, put my hand on his shoulder and squeeze. It doesn't matter, as long as we're together, all of us.
But what if we don't stay together?
What? You think I'm going to die? Or any of us are going to die?
No. I'd rather not think about it. But we're in war times. It's a possibility.
This is true. Perhaps we'll have a falling out. And then maybe one day we'll have to see each other on the battlefield, staring across from each other.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I think you'd be surprised what you can do when you're pushed far enough. At this point in time, I don't think you should really worry about it. You should... Let's just enjoy tonight. And we'll deal with it later as it comes.
Okay.
Good. Now, I'm going to... I guess I'll go back inside, get myself another cup of wine, and then I'll walk.
As you're speaking, Iona comes to the door. I'm sorry, I'm not interrupting, am I?
No, you were just finishing.
She holds a bottle of wine in her hand.
Oh,
Lucius, don't suppose we might take a walk?
Oh, okay.
I'd like to see the city from afar.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll come back to you shortly. And resume with Kenna, Rook, Leovold, and Alamore inside. What are you all doing?
Is Valis? Did he leave? Is he still nearby?
He's gone.
Oh,
He's got to get a Maladetha back in the space of about 8 hours, and you expect it will take you about 20, perhaps 16. So,
Sorry we didn't get a chance to warn you about your sister.
you knew?
It was mentioned just today.
But
Don't ask me to
Who
remember
knew
that
this?
it's been 2 weeks.
his
it was
father.
my dad. It was my dad through the vision.
It was your dad.
Ah, that makes sense. I
I
can't
have to
believe
ask.
this.
I have to ask, did the thought ever occur to you? I mean, it's been a long time.
Did what?
That he could have had more children.
I mean, I guess I should have been a thought, but no. And the fact that my brother is older than me, he is. My mother never mentioned him, so I don't know what to believe anymore. Oh no.
Well.
Oh. Oh, that is a.
We haven't got there yet.
I would just say, completely out of character, that is a very interesting item. Holy.
We'll get there in a second.
Yeah. Right. No,
Regardless,
back
at the
to
moment
what we were doing.
You're discussing Rook's mysterious younger sister.
Well, there will be. I'm just going to be sitting and looking at this amulet, contemplating.
I think I'm gonna call it for tonight.
I'm gonna do so as
It
well.
is nighttime, right? It is
It's
nighttime.
9 p.m., 10 p.m. Something like that.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna head up to a room and like just keep to myself.
Yep. As you enter upstairs, you see luxurious rooms with ensuite bathrooms. Over these many years, he's had a chance to accrue a lot of money and a lot of space. And each of your rooms is richly appointed with wardrobes, chests, four-poster bed, a beautiful bathing area. There's clearly a hot rock system going on for the water, should you wish to bathe. Leovold, what are you doing?
At the minute, not very much. Just still contemplating.
You're still in the living room. Okay.
Hmm.
Animal looks up to you. You know, you've been quiet since Taloria.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot's happened. Stabbed in the back and stabbed in the face by so many.
We all were.
Yeah.
I lost my father, my mother, and my brother in the space of a day.
Everyone lost so many. I don't want to make the people that did it fucking pay.
Revenge is not a good basis for a life plan, Leovold. Especially when one has as little control as you do of their emotions.
I know. But
Perhaps
it
you
would
should
feel
seek,
fucking good.
perhaps seek wisdom and peace. It is the true mission of the Kalashtar, you know. Find wisdom, peace, and enlightenment.
Maybe,
I
but
haven't told
wisdom,
many
peace,
of you.
and enlightenment, to be honest, seem like they're for wiser people than I.
Everybody who starts by seeking wisdom is an idiot.
You know, that's a good point.
It's usually their first good decision.
When was the last time I made one good decision? Let's be real here.
Made a few recently.
You
Joining
think?
with your friends. Risking using your magic to protect them even though you know it may do more harm than good. Not letting yourself die was Good decision in my book.
Fair.
You know,
Still.
I haven't told you much about my people, about our magics. It's what first drew me to Maverick.
Huh.
I saw him as his magic once. He thought he was in private. And these spirits came forth. I was watching through a window as you were all engaged in a strange combat with some demonic robots.
Oh, those. Yeah.
At birth, the Kalashtar are bound to a spirit of some sort. Some of us, a spirit of air or fire or water. Some of us a spirit of nature, some of us a celestial being. I myself am bound to a spirit that, although it is of nature, it believes in change and renewal and rebirth. It has what I would describe as a destructive nature. Finding peace has always been incredibly important to me. A balance. The Kalastari are always looking for balance. We travel alone throughout the world. We very rarely settle down. Some of us do. Hoping maybe I'll be one of them. Look, you've had a few people mention mind healing to you.
Hmm.
I know nothing of the art, but Eldrin was exceptional with it. It was a natural talent to him, not something that he had to learn.
I see.
And I tell you, it makes a big difference. Explore it. You will discover more about yourself than you know. Anyway, large as this mansion is, I feel clammy. I'm gonna step outside into the night air. Good night, Leon.
That's fair enough. Good night.
I'm gonna resume with Lucius and with Iona. What do you think of that drow?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's always nice to see other elves, and the fact that he's part of the Silent is very interesting.
I used to dream of joining the Silent.
Really?
Yeah.
All these
Master
dreams.
of Whispers. Mistress of Secrets.
That's a nice title.
And then I realized I really like punching things. Well, the two
That
don't
also feels
necessarily
very
go
good.
hand in hand. I'm never one to be the subtle type, you know.
I don't think so. Not the way you hit those golems, I believe they are. Not sure.
Oh, don't talk about those. My knuckles still hurt. But, yes. I was very intrigued by this speak of rares.
Yes.
I've never really had a master to train with.
I have.
My powers come more naturally.
Let's do mine.
The damnable, overly insightful and way too informed smug drow almost exposed me back there, and I felt I would like to tell you myself before anyone else did.
Well, first, let us pour the wine, because I believe every time you talk about the past, it must be accompanied with some sort of alcohol.
I do like a good glass of wine.
Here you go.
So, 25 years ago, I was left on the doorstep of,
I don't know, you okay?
Mikhail.
The wine too heavy.
Mikhail.
Okay.
Thank you. Looking for the name of the innkeeper, my brain's going, I know this. I haven't got it written down. I was left on the doorstep in Mikhail by, reports say, a female elf.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm no half-elf, nor am I a full elf.
What are you?
Instead, I'm a daughter of the Yellow Rose.
Ooh. Oh, Rose.
When a monk who has transcended the coil of mortality, as a child with an elf, The powers are passed down directly.
So, I'm sharing a drink with royalty, pretty much. With monk royalty.
The monks don't believe in leadership and power. They believe in enlightenment and the future, and frankly, they're quite boring. But
Indeed they are.
it does lead to some interesting situations. At merely the age of 3, I was able to extract life force from other creatures when they were near death. I once cut my thumb, and my kitten was dying. And then he was dead, and my thumb was fine.
I believe I've heard of this technique.
There is a training that replicates it in similar ways. I believe they call it the Way of the Long Death. But my powers don't work quite the same way.
How does yours function?
We gain little elements of everybody's, of all the trainings. Master, of course, must know all the trainings. I, like you, can have a way with the elements. I can also get in touch with my astral self.
Now I'm jealous.
It's not always that simple. It takes many, many, many years to master. And often it comes unbidden. But hey, I said I was going to tell you a little about myself, not my whole life story.
That's fine.
Needless to say, that is why with no training I found myself capable of a lot in combat. But what I have not discovered is how to navigate humanity. That's why Mikkel had me work the tables. He thought the social interaction might do me good. Mikkel's a wiser man than many.
I agree to that.
But on our travels, I'd like to stay with you guys for a while.
Sure.
I have a lot of admiration for the Lady Kennel.
You should. She's a great woman.
And I feel like perhaps you might understand my desires more than others.
What do you mean?
Well, I mentioned wanting to join the Silent, and you didn't laugh at me, nor did you pass it off as something dark. I have a feeling that some of your other friends might not react the same way.
I don't believe so. No. I'll admit, in the back of my mind, I'm constantly worrying if one day I'll be the thing that tears us all apart.
It'll at least be spectacular, Lucius, I'm sure. Ah, look, the city. She gestures out as you exit the forest, over at the city spires. Am I childish to think it is a hope for a new life that I see over there?
I'm sorry to say this, Iona, but it is an ugly thing.
The city?
Yes.
But ugly in what manner? Because I'm not afraid of it being dark and too real.
You're right, I don't mean to ruin your chance at experiencing so many new things. That's not fair. It can be a nice place. Nice is not the word. Let me take another drink. Maybe I can get it.
She takes a swig of the wine, passes it over, and then says, "Well, we can't have a talk without a spa. You've been promising me for a long time. Come."
Fine. Yeah, sure. Why not?
And she sort of rolls into a strange stance where her legs are so far apart she's almost touching the ground in the center. One arm behind her and one arm in front.
Don't cheat. Keep all 2 arms. 2 arms.
It's the only way I can cheat. She looks at you and then suddenly she leaps up into a spinning kick. You can see that she's not even trying to hit you. She cuts one foot down to your right and one foot down to your left. She ducks to the side and pats you gently on the back of the head. What's your roll to hit?
$30.
Yeah, that'll hit. She, as she goes to leap away, you catch her. How many attacks do you get per turn?
I get 2.
Use both.
Well, 3 if I get, yeah.
Yeah, you get a bonus action too.
22 for the second.
That'll miss. And why not?
13 for the last.
But the first one, as she goes to leap away, you're too quick for her. You hit her with the flat of your palm in her back. She sort of stumbles forwards, but then quickly executes a roll, dodging her next 2 hits. She turns back to you and quickly jabs 2 fingers into an area sort of at the joint between your forearm and bicep. So the other side of your elbow. Make a charisma saving throw, please.
11.
That's a fail. Have you been with the Silent before?
No. Well, in passing.
Yes, I should tell you, you are unable to speak a deliberate lie. Right now.
In passing.
Grunt work?
Yes.
You hated it.
Yes. And at this point in time, my hair will turn red.
No, I can't do that.
I wouldn't suppose you would be able to, no.
She leaps forward and goes to tap you twice on the cheek. The first one she gets, but the second one you tuck your head out the way. As you can make your hits.
$18. That's a miss.
There's a miss.
Another miss.
Miss.
I'm going to spend a key point for patient defense.
Excellent decision. But as you swing out once and swing out twice, she dodges to the right, dodges to the left, and then clearly dodges way too far and stumbles. You can see that she has perhaps had a little more wine than she should have done. And an ethereal arm stretches out of her side and lifts her back up to standing. She looks at you. Enough. I've had too much to drink.
Seems so.
I've talked too much of my past, and we've talked too much of yours. And let's get back. It's. I imagine it's going to be an early morning. If I know Kenna, she'll want to do it all right and proper, and he's probably already in bed.
Probably. Or maybe not. She's deeper than you might think.
I'm sure she is, but she wouldn't miss out on a good night's sleep before a diplomatic mission. Come on. It's the ambassadress we're talking about. Did I call them ambassadress or ambassador? She takes another swig of the wine and...
Let's go with ambassadress, and I'll help you back. Come
Maybe I'll be an ambassadress of secrets. Mistress of whispers.
I do like that title.
Her Lady of the Silent. Well, come on. As the two of you head back, Alamore comes out and sees Maverick on the step. And taps you on the shoulder. Hey! What's got you down in the dumps?
Nothing. I'm fine.
Didn't like him asking questions, did you?
What?
Good. You didn't like him asking questions, did you?
Well, it's a topic I've tried to force myself to forget.
Why?
Painful.
At this point, Eldrin would say, painful memories are best faced head-on. And I'd slap him.
Wise choice.
Look, I'm not here to cheer you up. You're allowed to feel what you feel, but we're free, Maverick. We're bid to go to Death and find out what we can, but we have no master. First time in my life I have no responsibility. As my father and my brother did, it is not I who receives the next post in Nornorth. It is my father's brother. And I will no longer be the heir to his power. I must say I'm quite relieved. I never wanted to be a politician. And my brother is always good at that kind of stuff. We talked about your magic in there, and, well, Valis asked a few pointed questions about my history. I've had little time to go over this book, but let me tell you about Jiqua. Jiqua is the spirit to which I have been bound since birth. She came on the night of my birth, and I awoke in a burnt-out cot with green forest leaves falling above my bed. We've been bound ever since. Her nature is somewhat destructive, but as you once said, magic is but a tool. Although, she doesn't like it when I think of her that way. We are bound completely. There will never be a separation. And when I die, she will go on to inherit another Kalishtar's body. The spirits that travel with you, they don't speak to you, do they?
Not of their own accord.
My God, that must be nice. I wish I had a silence button. But in some ways, it's easier when they speak to you. I never have to think about sharing my thoughts because I've already shared them. With someone, at least. Or something. As we go into the city, on the first night, there can't be a huge amount that the group has to do. I would like to spend an evening, just you and I, for fun. For pleasure. Nothing more. Perhaps we could call it our first proper date. Although the ball was quite lovely.
You're asking me out on a date?
No, I'm demanding it.
I suppose I can't say no to this.
You can try. But I can be very persuasive.
Then I suppose that we will be going on a date.
Wonderful. I've heard many rumors of a particular place. They say if you take a canal... A canal? Yes, take a canal. Just take a fucking
I
canal.
plan on it.
If you take a boat down the Great Canal, at the end is a hotel called the Quintessential. It's quite expensive, but I believe I've got the funds for one night. Although, we might have to eat on the cheap on the way there. And I thought it might be nice. Apparently it looks out over the sea. There's not many places you can view the Great Sea. The Great Sea is, in fact, a lake. But it's a lake of seawater. It has a tide of its own. It's the very centre of Eldessa.
Does that count as the sea?
It's known as the Great Sea.
It counts as the lake.
It's known as the Great Sea, but yes, it is definitely a lake. But it is huge. I mean, you can barely see the other side. And the views are meant to be quite beautiful. You can see the mountains of Akana. So my father tells me. I've never been to Maladeth, but I've heard a lot of it is only beautiful on the surface. Perhaps we might have one memory, the first evening, of something that's beautiful underneath too. God, that sounded way cornier than I hoped it would.
Is that you saying that, or
No, no, that's him.
Okay. Then I can't wait. What are you planning on going to bed soon? It's late? Question mark. DM.
It's nearly 11.
So yes, it's very late.
I would love to spend the evening in your company, but tonight I must do something that I haven't done in a while.
What's that?
You can come and watch, but I won't be able to speak. It's called renewal.
And what does it entail?
Every year I rebind with Chiqua. And it is... I'm told it's spectacular, although I've never seen it.
What do you mean rebind? Do you lose your connection with her over time?
No, but we renew it in the way of her kind. Their spirits are... They do not die, but they enter a new phase each year, like a birthday. And I gain more power. And it cleanses the skin as well. Strange ritual, but it's one of all my people. However, Chiqua has an air for the dramatic. And let's just say I can't do it inside. Come. He begins to walk into the forest.
I will follow him. And as I do, I'm gonna say she has an air for the dramatics. Maybe she should meet Lucius.
Believe me, this would put him to shame. Come. And he walks into a clearing. He says, stand at the edge.
Okay.
He
I do
kneels
so.
on the ground, bows his head and puts his arms out. And a pillar of flame, perhaps 600 foot high, and 20 foot wide, comes down upon him. You see his body rise into the pillar of flame, glowing white, red, purple, green, yellow as he spins. And suddenly the pillar is extinguished. A great strike of lightning comes from the sky and a swirl of wind. And the leaves of the forest begin to wrap around Alamor. It descends to the ground. It's shining, almost glowing with a light that is effervescently green, but almost too bright to look at. And then with a loud thunderclap, a small circle of burnt ground surrounds him. And he walks out barefoot. He's covering himself at the front. These leaves are not particularly great at covering him up, and he says, well, I didn't think of that part of the ritual. Might I borrow your cloak?
I mean, I prefer not, but sure.
He smiles. And, well, thank you. And he wraps it around his shoulders and just sort of leans it casually, just over his front and back, but he's not really covering a huge amount. He says, well, that's the rebirth of Chiqua.
You had me worried for a moment there.
They say that fear of absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh, shall we return? I'm not quite sure what the others might think. I was walking in with you barely dressed.
Who cares? And as he walks up to the steps, you see Lucius and Iona also coming from the other direction. Iona stumbling around like a drunk. Lucius sort of propping her up slightly, and You see Lucius returning with a slightly drunk woman. He sees you returning with a naked man, wearing your cloak, covered in leaves. Make of this what you will.
I'm glad you took my advice.
It's really not. Really not what it seems like.
Sure.
This I haven't told you all of my magics. I'm of the Kalastari, and each year we have a rebirth ceremony with the spirit to which we are bound.
Oh.
And mine has a flair for the dramatic and likes to burn my clothing off.
Hold on a second.
No, you don't have to explain to me.
But I will tell you for now, right now, that tomorrow evening I will be absent, as will Maverick.
I applaud.
When we reach. Will you also be absent? He gestures towards Iona.
Oh, no. Iona is more like a little sister to me, actually.
She looks around. I'm not sure I like that description, but very well.
Iona, I'm sorry.
You know she's older than you, right?
Wait, I thought
How old are you? How old are you?
No. Shit, I don't know how I'm actually.
Yeah, she's 29, which
She's 29?
which is young for an elf. No, she looks
15.
15 or 16 because she's 29 and an elf.
Oh.
But yeah, she's older than not you specifically, but Maverick and yes, and the rest of you. Just in case you're wondering if this 14-year-old girl is hitting on you. No, she's most definitely an adult. She's most definitely an adult in that sense.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm gonna look to Lucius. I was like, hey, that's better than a tree, right?
What's this, Lucius? You've been... Well, do I want to know?
Iona, and I'll straighten up completely and get a serious look. I'm sorry. And I'll walk inside for now.
She turns to Maverick.
I have a DM question real quick. Okay, so the robes of eyes, right?
Sorry?
The robe I've got, the robe of eyes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there eyes inside the cloak?
Technically, yes.
As well as outside?
Oh. No. Well, I mean, the back of the eye is. I suppose you could swivel it and look inwards.
Because you can see through the eyes. Just curious.
What do you mean? You can look at the inside of your body, but it'll be very dark.
Alright.
Oh, I see. That's the cloak you've given.
That's the robe I wear.
So, yes, I thought you would give him a cloak, not your actual robe. Okay, yes, that's the robe that you've given. Okay, very interesting. Yes, but now he can see through them, not you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay. No, I see where you're going with this now. No. Iona sort of turns to you both and... I just said something.
Don't take it personally. He gets like that. He has these sudden urges of being serious.
I hope he didn't think too much of tonight. I like him, but he's a good friend.
He is. I'm sure the fun caught him off guard.
He's most fun when he's least serious. Anyway, she takes another swig of the wine and sort of stumbles through the door. Leopold, are you still awake or have you gone up to bed?
I'll still be sitting there. Just
Okay, well, as you're sitting there, you see first of all Lucius walk in, looking slightly serious and slightly, perhaps amiss. Then you see Iona sort of launch herself head first through the doorway, briefly followed by Maverick and a completely naked Alamor wearing a cloak and some leaves.
Jesus, what the fuck is going on here? What?
Iona sort of giggles. He's been reborn. I'm going to bed. And she lies down on the floor next to the stairs.
I don't know what the fuck you guys have been doing, and I don't need to know.
Perhaps you do not. I told you of my magic. This was my rebirth. Unfortunately, my spirit likes to burn my clothing off, but... Well, think what you like. It made it more exciting.
I'll call from the top. No, they were fucking.
Yeah, and Lucius got Iona drunk for mysterious reasons.
Speaking of which, do you think somebody might help me up the stairs? And she's staring, like, not at the stairs, but sort of just a sconce of them, the wall.
I'll come back down and I'll pick her up and take her upstairs. I'll piggyback her.
Thanks. Hey, Lucius.
Yes.
Don't take it too seriously. Don't take life too seriously. It's just a bit of fun.
That's not what I... Yes. I know, thank you.
You know, the Mistress of Secrets could use a Master of Whispers. And she just sort of stumbles onto her bed, face first down, fully dressed, wraps the duvet around her back, head first down the pillow.
Good night, Iona.
Mm.
And close the door, and I guess I'll find a room or something.
If you're able to do so, and in the room you see that deep hot bathtub you were looking for.
Oh, thank. I don't have a guard ready. I'm going to go ahead and get in the bath.
Yeah. Given that
can
you
I
only
read
need a
that
reverie,
book?
so.
Yeah, can I read that book? Of Ravenous?
Yes. Speaking of books, as you came back into the room, you saw a book on the side with a note with your name on the top.
Interesting. I'll open the note.
I know that you are a man of learning underneath, and ever curious. I found this book to take more of my time than it should have done, and I've still not learned a quarter of its contents. I thought it might interest you, Valus. And you find the big book of everything. This describes every object in the universe, combining identify object reading and discern location. But there is no ordering to the pages. As you open the book, you see it starts with bucket, and it begins to list locations, and continues and continues and continues. So many places that you've never even heard of. You skip through a few more pages. Get to the Eye of Ellipsis.
Ellipsis.
This item can be used to perceive the moon from all sides, and bestows upon the user a knowledge of the night. It is located deep in Pazutna, and it gives the location of a cave. You are able to continue flicking through, and you find the minutes passing by as you read of things you don't understand in places you've never heard of, and of simple items such as spoons and forks that list millions of locations. Billions.
Well,
It's a proper headfuck after a glass of wine.
yeah, it definitely is. Well, you know what? I'm going to put this book in my pack for now. This seems something I could do if I'm ever bored. Is there an appendix at all for this?
No.
Ah,
Just goes on forever.
all right. I'm going to put this in the bag, and
Taking out the
I'm
book
just
of
gonna-
Ravenesca.
yeah, the Book of Ravennesca, and I'm going to read that.
Give me an intelligence check, and then give me an insight check with advantage. So you're beginning to become more accustomed to this book. 16 for the intelligence, 18 for the insight?
Yes.
Okay. As you begin to become more accustomed to this book, you begin to read the first paragraph again. In the light of our most powerful lady, Ravenesca, we worship the moments on the edge of death. We bring the plane of shadow to that of the plane of the material. And in bringing others to the cusp of death, we worship her truly.
I'm going to get behind that at least.
The next line appears to be in a more archaic language that you don't recognize. You'll have to work on that one.
Damn it.
But as you skip through a few paragraphs, you see it returns to the more modern language. It is our mission to conquer, but also to create. To create structure, to create chaos, to create a plane worthy of Her Majesty, the Goddess Ravenesca. We do so by assuming that we cannot be, and taking our enemies down from within circles that they most trust. And that resumes in the archaic language again. It's taken you quite a long time to get through those two. At this point, I'm briefly going to flick to Maverick and to Alamo. Alamo looks at you. If it's okay with you, I would like to take a room to myself tonight.
Of course. I didn't...
Tomorrow night, I would like to book a room for the two of us. I would like it to be special. If that is not too forward. I'm not saying we have to do anything specific, merely spend the night in each other's company.
Oh, okay.
Good night, Maverick.
I can, okay.
And he very casually
Yeah.
takes... Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were finished.
Oh no, he's just mumbling and like tripping over his words.
Okay. He very casually takes off the cloak. He's got his hand down, sort of covering his crotch, but he hands it to you. Thank you very much for your chivalry.
My pleasure.
He closes the door. And I assume you're going to bed. And Leovold?
Oh yeah, Maverick is going to bed and like...
It's approaching midnight, Leovold. Are you headed up?
Yeah, sure.
As you do, lie on your bed. Ponder the words of earlier today. Give me an intelligence check and a charisma check. Sorry, intelligence check and a charisma save. Don't worry, you're not going to explode.
Int check is an 18, charisma save is only a 15.
Plus 11, you suck. Well, you'll fail it. So, you find your mind drifting and you begin to turn it inwards. As you contemplate your new magics, you're able to relive certain memories in more clarity than ever before. Begin to understand what Valis was telling you about the mind healing. You could do this for someone else. But right now, what takes your mind is a memory. Just a voice singing, a smell of perfume, a cascade of hair over your face. You're very young in this memory. It feels like home. You feel rested and at peace. And we resume with Lucius, the last to sleep. Once you're done with the Book of Ravenesca, is there anything else you would like to do, or will you take a reverie? If you do so in the bath, it will be cold by morning.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. I'm not going to take my review in the bath. I'll just one last glass of wine before bed, I guess, before I focus.
As it's almost 2 a.m., you see a shadow outside. A brief light. And the closing of the door downstairs, yeah.
Velas.
Yes.
I guess I'll step out.
See him heading up the stairs. He looks very tired. Oh,
Welcome back.
Lucius, I didn't expect anyone to be awake.
You know.
Thank you. Did you find the book I left you?
Yes. Oh,
Yes, I don't know. I don't know if it's useful or not. But it is
Oh.
by far the most curious piece I've ever come across.
Yes, this is very interesting.
Oh.
Actually, perhaps this would be really useful.
I hoped so once. And after hours upon hours of reading of various items used to milk yaks, and different types of saddlebag, and it never tells you anything you think you actually want to know, but perhaps one day somebody will stumble across something excellent. In the meantime,
Yes.
I must take some rest. I haven't travelled that fast in a long time.
Yes, please. You've done more than enough. You should rest.
I'll see you at dawn.
I'll see you then.
And you see as he walks, he looks aged. It's clearly taken a lot out of him.
Yes.
And you all drift off to sleep, and we wake in the morning with probably the first sunrise.
Are we taking a long rest?
Yes. First to rise, I assume, will be Kenna. She's walking by her. Can you roar quietly? I don't know.
No.
A medium roar. And a nuzzling. You don't remember summoning him before you went to sleep, but perhaps in your dreams.
Oh no, I definitely did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Good.
Yeah.
He's
I'll
nosing
wake
at the
up.
window.
And walk over to the window
You see
and look
a,
out.
you see an elk outside, quietly in the forest. Seems to be going about its own business.
Are you hungry?
Of course.
And open the window.
The elk doesn't stir.
Have at it.
Chicago's down for the kill, but the elk's big. You can see him wrestling and grappling with it, and gouts of flame coming out in little areas. At one point, he appears to be falling under the elk, but suddenly, yeah, sorry, I'm terrible with Shikar. She's always male to me, and she gets her claws into the neck and rides the elk to death. It wasn't pretty, nor was it glorious, but it did work. I believe this is the first time Shikar has had live meat that you haven't hunted for.
Maybe.
She looks horrifically pleased with herself.
I smile a bit, shake my head, and walk over to the bath area and wash my face where there's probably some tear stains from the night before. And go down.
As you do, you see Valashun already up. He looks a little tired, but not better than he was when Lucius saw him. Pity, Kenner, I must ask. I was looking out my window this morning and I saw a most curious sight. Out of your window appeared a small dragon. It appears to have hunted an elk.
Yes. Sorry about that. Hopefully there won't be too many remains.
I think it was quite wonderful, but a tad unusual. I must say I normally hear everything, but I hadn't heard rumor of a small dragon.
I'd appreciate it if there weren't any.
I am an informant, but it is not a piece of information that I deem particularly relevant as long as the Lady Queen knows.
He does.
Good. Well, help yourself. And he gestures towards eggs, bacon, sausages, his full English breakfast, and you hear Rook coming down the stairs. The smell of food has clearly awoken him.
I need to eat.
Yes, you
It's been
do,
a
big
long
guy.
night.
Then do.
What
It's just behind you on the stairs.
What do we have?
Well, to me, it smells like eggs, bacon, sausage, a good English
Did I
breakfast.
hear eggs? You hear Iona
Yes, she
shout.
did.
She comes literally sprinting out the door. She's got a nightgown and trousers on. She at some point seems to have changed during the night, and she comes sprinting down the stairs. She sort of skips over Rook's shoulder and leaps over to the table and just sort of grabs a handful of toast, picks up an egg, and oh, my head this morning.
Yes, I told you to slow down. Actually, I didn't, but
Where's the fun in
cares?
slowing down? Hey,
true.
Slow down. What
do you do
happened?
coffee? Madison Olsen. I'll put it on. Please, all of you, help yourself. Alamore comes down the stairs. Leovold, are you up?
Sure, I'll be getting up, yeah.
Maverick,
Hi.
awake?
Yeah, he's probably coming down the stairs now.
Okay. As you all convene for breakfast. Well, that's right. Business over breakfast is poor form, but it must happen. I have secured you 2 entrance points. Death. Both of which will be slightly more subtle than the main entrance. First of all, you can meet with Rondon. He's a halfling at the Silver Knight, a large tavern just outside the gates. A little down the road. You will be noticed there, but not by anybody of huge import. And there you may make acquaintance with Rondon, who will help you in to the city via a more diplomatic route, and see you straight to the Grand Council chambers, where you may state your business. This will stop the Silent from stopping you. This is within my realms of acceptable navigation from the Silent's main goals. You may also meet with one Nushala. Nushala is a face of the Silent. She will be waiting just off the road. When you first see the Silver Knight, you will need to take a right. You will come to a small gap in the outside fencing of the city walls. She will await you there and be playing a pipe. It is your choice which entrance you use. But some people who are worth meeting when you're there. First of all, the Grand Council. I'm assuming you know some of them, but not all. Simbier, Konau, Erlen, Reyes, Kirtar, and Jaedra. Jaedra is the one to watch. She's the only female of the group. A wise elf. And ruthless. The faces of the Silent you may meet. Nushala, who will meet you at the door. You may also see Kevan. Kevan is a little alike to me. He is very friendly to the royals and may help with some information. There is also Nevis. Nevis resides just next door to the Golden Goblet. He is less savoury. But he has the most up-to-date news.
God damn it, Kevin.
Alright. Where was I? Anyone? Nevis? Yes. Sorry, one of my players has just typed in chat, deciding that we now have Kevin. Kevin, the elven informant. Nevis is the person with the most up-to-date news on the mysterious Silent member who has gone rogue. Assassin. I believe this may be of interest to you. There are a couple of other people you may wish to meet.
That guy that we heard about for sure.
Yeah. There is the Lady Rubraeth. Rubraeth is the daughter of the Guildmaster Zelfara of the Merchant Guild. You'll find her down at the docks. She's pretty hard to miss. She's at the Shipmaster's building from 6 AM till 6 PM. And she's a friendly type, and somebody who I know well. If you need a guide about the city, she may be able to provide one. There is a particular favourite of mine, Doric. Doric is a halfling. You will find him also at the Silver Knight. And he has no ties to the Silent, nor to the merchants, nor to the Grand Council. Almost unique in Maladeth. But he makes his business as a worldly man. If you wish to make any purchases, or perhaps secure rooms, or anything simple, he's a man who prides himself on having his finger on the pulse of Maladeth. Not in an informative way, but more in a business-savvy way. He'll know the cheapest rooms, he'll know who is where, etc. And there is another man. I don't know whether to tell you to steer clear or to make acquaintance, but his recent rise in Maladeth has been worth noting. His name is Yorick, and he is, or he was, a member of a small gang of dwarves. But what he is now is the second in command to a group simply known as the Syndicate. And if I said to you the Silent are wholly evil, the Syndicate most definitely are. Crime is their game, and they are excellent at it.
How big are they?
The problem is that most people who work for the Syndicate won't admit to it, and often work for the Silent too, or various other, whatever they're called, groups. Yeah. Factions is the word I was looking for. They are definitely immovable right now. A show of force would not clear them out. But primarily they stick to the underways, the alleys, sewers. Their influence politically is minimal. Their influence on business is quite the opposite.
See. Thank you, Velas. You've given us quite a bit of information.
I've also taken a liberty. Outside the door you will find a cart. Or carriage, I guess. It is laden for 8 of you. And well teamed. We should make swift progress. The journey will take only 8 hours, perhaps.
Oh.
Won't be as quick as the journey I had last night, but it will be swift. Your friend has not stirred. Brother Alari?
Yeah.
He went to bed
How
very
is
early.
he?
I haven't checked. Do you think I should? Or do one of you want to?
One of us should check, yes.
Yeah, I'll go up and check.
As you enter, you head up the stairs and you go to his room. You knock, but there is no response. The door is not locked.
Okay, then I will open the door.
You'll see Brother Alari laid, still dressed, from the night before, upon his bed. Very still.
Okay, I will walk up to him. Do I see his chest rising?
His heart's beating and he's breathing, but his skin is dry.
I'm gonna put the back of my hand on his forehead.
It's as cold as it always has been, but his skin is, as I said, dry.
Is there any, is there a glass of water or anything? Any way I can...
There's a euro of water next to him.
Okay, I'm gonna pour that over his face.
Here. Oh. That feels good. He goes back into sleep.
Okay, then I am going to leave, close the door, and then go back downstairs. He's drying up.
Like
Uh,
a fish.
what?
Drying
Yes,
up.
very much like that. I poured some water over
Did he
him.
recently expend a lot of magic?
Indeed, he did.
Yeah, pretty sure.
What? Why do you have that look on your face?
He doesn't know
What's
of the
happening?
recovery?
What?
He doesn't know of the Genasi recovery?
No.
Do you, Lady Kenna?
Do I?
No, you don't. This is bad. How long has it been since he expended his magics?
It's been a day.
2 days.
Day?
2 days.
Did two? It was only a day.
Oh, I thought it was one day.
No, you had the Battle of Teloria.
Yeah,
then you
Teloria was
headed
well. It
to-
would have been, yeah.
Then you headed to Drathnor Keep. Had the whole day
Oh,
there.
okay.
I thought that was all in one day.
Yeah. Oh, there was a night in
I
between.
thought it was 2, but did we get like a magic long rest?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
technically it was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
magic
we did.
long rest, so you did have 2
Okay.
long rests, but it was actually only 2 days.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
2
that
days.
is good. That is good. Come, help me, please. We must get him to the bath.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, I'll run behind, can I?
Yeah, I'll help out as
You
well.
place his brother Larry in the bath with your assistance and fills it with cold water up to the neck, propping his head upwards and pouring the ewer gently over his head. Brother Larry stirs briefly and Alice just says, shh. You can see there's some compulsion there. He's putting him to sleep. He may have to stay like this for at least 24 hours. And when he comes to, he may find some magics unreachable. For a while. And the Genasi have the
Oh, no.
ability to channel power of a greater level. Or more often to, when they're accepting a blow, they will expend a lot of their magic trying to protect themselves inadvertently. They need to replenish, they need to be at one with their element. To regenerate their magic and their powers.
Will he be safe here?
Of course. I will tend him throughout the day and throughout the evening. I can go a long time without sleep. I'll watch him until he's okay. But we should have a way of me informing you. Certainly you would like to reunite with your friend, I'm sure. I'll do my best to bring him to the city, but I'll send a message, but I'm not sure through whom. Have you made any decision as to whether you will take the route of diplomacy or the route of the silent, or perhaps a bit of both? Not yet?
I think we need to discuss.
Yes.
I'm going to reach over and just to help ease recovery, I'm going to cast Lesser Restoration on Alarit.
As you reach out, Valis grabs your hand and... Careful, careful. I understand that your intent is to do something not related to your Genasi powers, but as the flames come close, he will expend magic automatically. You want to be careful. Was Lesser Restoration a touch, though?
It is.
Yeah, probably avoid it. A little more harm than good, sadly. He'll be okay, you know. Just take time. This was the stand that you made at Teloria?
Yes.
Lady Kenna, you also made a stand, did you not?
I suppose.
But you've not found yourself weak, or...
Well, I had a partner.
I think it might be more than that. Your friend, your little friend who went hunting this morning. Does he have any relation to fire?
He does.
Perhaps you've been bathing in fire as you've needed without even realizing. It's a good relationship you have there. Well, you must all speak together of what you wish to do. I'll remain up here with Brother Olari. Please, enjoy the rest of the breakfast. I'm sorry if any of it is cold.
Okay, has he walked away?
No, he's standing right next to Brother Olari.
Yeah, I'm walking outside, back downstairs.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going
I'm
back.
just gonna head down and just start wolfing down the rest of that breakfast.
Okay, are we all downstairs?
I would assume so.
Okay, great.
You're with Iona and Alamor, but nobody else.
Okay, sure. I'm gonna. I mean, I know he's upstairs, but I'm gonna like lower my voice anyways. Can we fully trust him?
I mean, this is the person that they want us to meet. Or do you just think maybe this is a imposter?
Well, anything's possible in that respect, but I mean,
This is
he
true.
already.
Sorry, go on.
Excuse you. He already knows a shit ton of personal information about us. Not to mention that we have a dragon, a baby dragon. And now we're gonna leave Olari here by himself. I mean, he works for the Silent.
You are aware that the Silent are not automatically necessarily just a bad thing and a risk, though, right?
I understand that, but there are also merchants, and I can only guess at how much a baby dragon would be.
Yeah, but it's not like we're going to be leaving the dragon with anyone, and I'm
No,
pretty sure that there's that it could not possibly be in any safer hands than in Kenna's. So, you know, all things considered,
I'm not saying we leave the dragon here. I'm just saying he knows a lot of information that can be used against us.
True. If he is who he says he is, he's a member of the Silent. Quite frankly, if you want to know our underwear size, you could probably figure that out as well.
yeah, they
I
probably
know
know
what you're-
more about us than you think they know already.
No, I know I understand where Maverick is coming from. We do have to think about these things because we are in times of war.
Yeah,
Can't just
that's true.
automatically trust anyone that we just see.
True, but we trust Celine. And
Yes.
This was Celine's judgment call as well. So,
Yeah, and lots of people judged the and trusted the king.
Friendly
And
DM
the-
note, by the way. Celine did ask you to contact her in the morning, but whenever you're ready.
Well, yeah,
What was that?
Lots of people trusted the king, and look how that turned out.
You're right. Truthfully, the only thing that I know for certain is that I trust all of you.
Agreed.
besides, for all we know, the king was trustworthy.
up until a certain point, yeah.
Rook, how do you feel about this?
I agree, but I think we do need to go the way of the silence. It might be best to not be so in the open when arriving.
And well, you are the ambassador here, Kenna. How do you feel?
King was taken over. We don't trust Queen of Teluria. I have a trouble trusting any authority figures at the moment. I agree. The Silent could have the information that we need.
Okay. No.
For all we know, the diplomats in Maladeth could be under secret control as well, as just like the king was. So we have to be
Sounds good.
wary with anyone we meet.
Okay. That's how it is. And I want to try something. I'm going to take a coin from my pocket. I'm going to just etch into it, just say like a sign or something. That's an insignia. Then I want to flip open that book of the universe. Does that coin appear?
Roll a D1 infinity and see if you hit the coin. No. It tells you about a strange weaving basket that when you place fabrics in it, they weave themselves into new patterns.
Mm.
It is.
Wait.
currently in a
Let me
land
take a little
called
peek at that page on
Okrakara.
that book.
Sure, yeah. Okay, don't burn it. Look at it.
No, I'm not burning it.
As you look over that page, you read of the weaving basket in the land of Okrakara. When fabrics are placed in it, they weave themselves into new patterns.
Huh. You know what? That's fascinating and fantastically useless and still fascinating.
As you turn the page, you'll see it writes of the robe of eyes. An unusual robe with eyes within it, and it lists a number of them. And one of them, the location is simply listed as here.
Okay, well that's a fascinating coincidence, isn't it?
Well, my idea didn't work out. But I'm sure if this book is how it works, this coin is in the universe here. I'm going to walk back up to Olari. I'm sorry, Valas, just 1 second. And I'm going to find one of Olari's robes and slip the coin in there. This is his favorite coin. He won it off me in a bet.
I couldn't help but hear the discussion downstairs. I apologize.
You understand?
I do. I should have told you all of the devices within the room. It's not for to watch you. They've always been present. I can't help it, I don't think about it anymore. I turned them off when I left last night, but I turned them on this morning out of habit. I'm so sorry. I did my best to ignore most of the conversation, but you are right in one thing. I can't trust anyone.
Well.
So I give you this. He hands out a ring. And he gestures towards Olari's hand, where there is the same ring. Put the ring on. Tell me what you feel.
I'll slide it on.
And what you feel is that Olari is safe, and that he is tired. And you get a general idea of his emotions, and of his general well-being. This won't do everything for you, but
we at least know he's
something
alive.
I can do.
Thank you, Valas. I walk up and
Sorry, I cannot be more reassuring.
No. You've done what you can. You've helped us out. And the situation that we're in is difficult.
If you wish to continue your conversation in private when you go out, there is a lamp on the dressing table. Just turn it off.
Okay. And I'll bow. And I'll head downstairs. Downstairs, I'll just slip my finger past the lamp.
Yep.
Well, he heard everything. He gave me a ring that allows me to know of Olari's emotional state, which is interesting. When he comes to, I may not tell him about this ring at all. I may have some fun with it.
It does work both ways.
That is interesting. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Well, I don't know.
He would have told you.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He would have told you that Olari will know of your safety as well when he comes to.
But with this ring, we'll know that Olari is alive. He agrees with us. We shouldn't trust anyone.
It's not exactly what someone trustworthy says to you.
I know. But we can't remain here. Nothing will get done. And unfortunately, Olari is incapacitated.
Excuse you.
Bless you, Valas.
Alamar, you should really see someone about that cough.
It's awful.
Perhaps if everyone's finished eating, we should head out.
I think that's a good idea.
I'll go out to see the carriage.
It's teamed with it's led by a team of 4 horses. It's teamed by a lead. It's led by a team of 4 horses. They appear relatively well trained. There shouldn't be an issue. The carriage is spacious enough, though not comfortable. It's missing the extra dimensional pockets and the champagne, but it works.
More carriages.
You would rather walk, Leopold?
Well,
We missed most of the last carriage journey. Oliver
True.
says.
true.
Trust
I'd
me,
rather.
it was worse than you might think.
Okay. Well. Okay, carriages it is. I'd rather, have those fancy teleporter things going on again, but yeah, I guess that's
We
too
do
much
have
to
a-
ever have going. Huh.
We do still have a scroll of teleportation.
Yes, but you can only go backwards.
Well, I don't remember reading that fine print on the scroll.
It says anywhere you have already been.
Ah.
Yep. So,
Iona looks over. Can I drive the cart?
I'll run over.
God. Okay, here we go. Do we?
Come
Would
on,
you
you
like to
can
sit
drive
with
the cart.
me?
Yes, maybe that's the best. And she goes over to the horses and she pats one on the head and she kisses its ear gently and puts her head to its head. Looks into its eyes.
at least you're having fun.
They're good horses. We'll be fine. Come on. Come on. I've always wanted to drive a team.
Yep, I'll get in the back, stretch out. Okay.
You hear a voice echo out. Travel safely. Farewell. As you look over, you see the spider that was watching. It sat on the doorstep.
Those things are both interesting and super weird.
Be safe, alas.
You too. And Iona looks down at the horses and goes, "Giddy up!" and slams the reins.
That's very cliche, Iona.
And they take off down the path. Ken, give me an animal handling check to see if you can make them go the right direction.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, that'll do. You guide her and the reins to turn the horses around and perhaps giddy up in the right direction next time. Hey, Iona says, "Well, sorry, I'm so excited. Mikhail used to drive a team sometimes, and he took us to the markets. He used to sit me on
You
his
don't
lap."
want them to strain themselves early on.
As much is true. But it is exciting when they go fast. Reminds me of sitting on his lap and looking out over the world. It all felt so big back then. Now it feels even bigger. My lady, I must ask. You agreed to go and speak to the Silent instead of to the Grand Council. If you don't mind me saying, it is a little unusual to be given the role of ambassador and mistrust authority in the same week.
How should I say this? I was given the role of ambassador. And I trust the Queen and I know her intentions are good. I just don't quite fit that role.
I think
Maybe
you do.
one day I will.
I think you do. There is an air of confidence and persuasion around you.
Well,
You'll believe it
I
when you
appreciate
speak.
that.
And you scare the shit out of Lady Daniela, and there aren't many people that do that.
Daniela made a mistake.
I heard.
I
We all
can
make
be-
mistakes.
I can try to be persuasive, but in the long term here, I don't trust figures of authority that we don't already know. And even those, it's questionable.
I believe in the Lady Celine. Her Majesty, I won't get used to that. But I never liked anybody else in authority. But she was always kind. Even when she was a bit eccentric and strange. That's a good sign, right?
Suppose her appearance might be surprising to you.
No. And she came to Mikhail's to meet with people. And we had a separate room for her. I served in there. It was a secret I had to keep. So I had seen her in both forms. As she knew of my secrets, and me knowing of hers was no threat to her. I guess you don't know of my secrets, do you? They were alluded to last night. I'm a daughter of the Yellow Rose. A union between a monk of beyond the mortal coil and an elf, often of royal blood.
A lofty heritage.
I was also left on the doorstep of a tavern, so...
And here I felt special.
It's time, as friends, we will shed with each other what is important. I asked Lucius last night if I might travel with you, all for a while. He said yes, but I wanted to ask you too.
I don't think any of us would turn down help, especially from somebody with your capabilities.
I hope I can gain your trust too. In time.
I think you just might.
And as the cart rolls on across the hills, I will need one perception check.
From who?
Probably Kenna, she's up front.
24.
Oh my, alright, somebody's got their eyes about.
Mhm.
There's a man by the road who looks severely injured.
A man, not a chicken. Okay.
Definitely.
Before slowing the cart, I want to look around to see
Nothing.
if what could have done this.
How close are we to
just-
Meladeth? I'm sorry. Sorry, no.
6 hours, 4 hours, something like that. You're at least a quarter of the journey, nearing a half. But all you see is
Welcome
spies
back,
getting
Iona.
closer on the horizon. What did you say, sorry, Kenna?
Pull them back.
She does so.
I'm gonna approach
Yeah, let's stop.
the man on the ground.
He's wheezing and looks severely injured. You come to finish me off.
Not unless you're out here doing evil, which I doubt.
No. Fighting it.
What happened?
I'm with the Dragon Wings. There were 8 of us. We're paladins for the greater good.
Have I heard of them?
Yeah. They're vigilantes, but they're truly good. My men.
Here, alone.
My men pursued to the cave. Over there. Demon. Some sort.
Does he seem like he's telling the truth?
Give me an insight check.
17.
Yeah. It's being truthful. They should still be fighting it. Its tail had some poison. It was only a minor wound, and he gestures towards a small slash up at his shoulder. This cut was just skin deep, but this... I feel like my life force is draining away.
Can't have that, can we? And I will cast Lesser Restoration.
Oh. In my pack is a potion of healing. I can't. If you would, please. My lady.
Hand it to him.
Drinks it deeply. My name is Barathius. Please, I must go to my men. They're in danger. You're welcome to come with us, should you wish. But I don't want to interrupt your
Leovold?
business.
Yeah.
Maverick, Lucius, Rook, Iona, Alamore. Is that everybody? I think that's
Yep.
everybody.
It's everybody.
Yeah, I believe so. What's the problem?
I explain.
Beautiful.
Well, dragon, you say, here in the forest.
Demon, not dragon.
Demon, sorry, demon. I said dragon wings, demon. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Iona, do you want to punch a demon?
That sounds fantastic.
Oh,
Nothing like
fuck
a good
that.
morning workout.
Let's go fuck it up.
And as you all head over, Baratheon leading the way. Baratheus leading the way. As he begins to walk more strongly, there's a large shield and emblazed upon it this beautiful wing of a dragon. And you see him catch up to his horse, which is rather short distance. Hey boy. Come. We're walking. You see that although he doesn't appear to have a telepathic connection with the horse has clearly understood what he said and walks with him. And he points over towards a cave, where you see 4 men sat outside. Well, that's partly hopeful, but I was expecting 5 of them. They're not engaged in combat. That's got to be good, right? That's got to be good.
How do they look?
Tired. As you get over, you see the 4 of them actually have a man lying down in front of them. And they appear to be praying over him.
Is he dead?
No. And one of them, finally, a burst of white light comes from his hands. For anybody who's witnessed a paladin, they would know that this is a lay on hands. The man stirs. Did we get it? Aye, we got it. It was mighty, Baratheus, but it is slain. His body's in the cave. And as you look over, you see that this is no minor devil, demon. This is a Baelor. Baelor, is that right? Why is this not coming up? Come on, Paige, wake up.
Fire whip and lightning sword?
Yes, fire weapon
Yep,
lighting sword.
Baelor.
Yes, or Balor, I'm not quite sure how to. But what I can tell you is that they are mighty Tanari.
God damn.
Truly mighty.
Yeah, they are.
In the very center of its chest is a beautifully carved and created sword of silver light. White light is shining from the hilt. Everybody's holding the sword apart from the man lying on the floor. It seemed that in his fall he struck the death blow.
That's one way to
Make
take
a
down
perception
demon.
check as you look at the demon.
25.
God damn.
You hear a small voices, far to the back of the cave.
You sure this was the only one?
Oh, the voices you hear are most definitely human.
Oh, okay. Demons, voices, yeah. I'll start to walk back there.
Lucius,
Yes.
where are you going?
I hear voices in the back of the cave. They sound like humans, or they may be in trouble.
You see that the cave turns to a path leading down.
Is
Is
there
it-
light in the cave?
No, but the sunlight beaming in is enough for a dim light. Spell of light?
We need to go.
No, I'm gonna go a little bit into the cave and then put my hand on the wall and cast Ghost Light.
Mhm.
So that's
Yep.
In a 20-foot radius, a silvery light that only we can see.
Mhm. And as you all head down, you see 2 children. hiding
children
in a
here.
dark corner.
Yeah. Do I get a sense of these children at all?
Terrified.
Hmm.
The path here is quite narrow. More narrow than that of a below. And the width of a below.
How far? Oh, I see. So they might have been on the run. Do I see any tracks on the floor at all indicating
They've ran here.
running? Yeah,
It's just their steps.
it seems so.
Although, a little way back, the steps in the below stopped. As the path narrowed.
Okay.
What the hell were kids doing here?
Can somebody give us some light?
We've got light.
Something that they can
Maverick
see.
has lit the area.
But they can't see it.
No, they
Yeah,
can't see it.
That's true. They
Yeah.
can't see it.
Right, sorry, you mean light for them.
Yes.
Your cleric is somewhat AWOL. AWOL, do you
I'm
have
going
anything
to.
useful?
I have a lantern. I have a lantern.
That'll do.
Yeah, I have a lantern.
Yeah,
As you
that'll
light the
have to do
lantern,
it.
they look up and...
Hello?
Is he gone?
He's gone.
We ran for 2 days.
Where are you from?
Just outside Maladeth. Dad runs a tavern there. We were out playing by the water. And this demon appeared. He could have caught us, but he seemed to enjoy the chase. So tired. We
He won't be
say,
chasing anybody anymore.
wow. You must be really powerful.
Yes, it was us.
It
Yeah,
wasn't.
definitely, totally sure.
But we could have handled him.
We heard the
Probably.
fighting. But we didn't want to come out.
Is there a rock nearby I can tie my rope to?
Yeah.
I'll just. Oh, is it just like I can walk down there, or do I have to
it's just a
descend?
path.
Oh, okay.
It's just a
all
path.
right,
I was like, what the fuck you tied a rope to a rope for? No, I'm literally just crouched in a corner in a cave. Like, it's just a flat path.
It's safe now. You can come on out.
Thank you. Mister, do you have any food?
I believe I do. Hold on.
Surely we've got something spare.
I don't know. How long have those rations been in your pack?
Ooh, I don't want to give those
Long
to
enough.
kids. No, they've been in it too long. They're kind of ripe.
There was food on the cart.
Okay.
I found
Yeah,
some
we got some stuff. There's some food.
As you
I
get
mean,
out,
rations are intended for extended travel.
yeah,
so...
but as you get out, you see the paladins are there and children. Children?
Yeah, I know, I don't understand either.
That explains what we were. Hey, you're Simon. You're Warwick's kid. The boy looks up. Yeah. A demon chased us from my dad's tavern. 2 days. A demon? By a tavern? Well, that's different. How horrific. So sorry you've been through this. Come. You must be hungry. And he produces 2 blue berries in his hand. Hands
Ah.
one to each of them.
Good berry.
It's a very good berry. So it seems. You can ask that out
Well-
loud, Maverick. No? Maverick asks, chased me a tavern and no one cared?
I mean, it does coincide perfectly with the time when everything started going
Give
off
me
the
an
attacks.
insight check, Lucius. You were the one who heard this story.
I'm not that insightful at all.
No. Now come.
I would have
Simon.
heard it as well, right?
I don't think so. Now come, Simon. A demon appeared outside the tavern and nobody reacted. Well, we might have ventured a little far in our play.
Ah.
But we weren't that far. It's only an hour.
Far enough.
An hour.
Oh, we saw this amazing deer and she was pretty and we chased her. Well, we lost track of time and we're down by the
I
water.
think it's safe to say you won't be doing that again.
No, but there is something you should know. The demon killed this white horse with a horn. It's when we found it. It
You
saw
mean
us.
a unicorn?
What's that?
It's a white horse with a horn on it.
Then yes, a unicorn.
Oh. We don't have a map of this area, do we?
Yeah, you have a world map. Would you like to use it?
No. I would like to. Can you show us where this unicorn was killed?
I can take you there. But I'm very tired.
No, not
No,
not
I
right
think
now.
you've been on enough adventures for one day. You need to, you know,
Well, we
go
do need to get back to my
visit your
dad. He must be
parents.
scared.
Yeah.
It's
When
on
you
the
get
way.
back home. Get back home and go to your room, young man.
The unicorn. It's on its way. It's on the way.
Okay.
Do you... He looks to the paladin's horse. I can ride, maybe.
Are you okay with this, Baratheus?
I don't think that my steed is one for a child.
Agreed.
But you arrived on a cart, did you not?
Yes, we'll put him on the cart. I was just, it seemed like he really wanted to ride the horse, that's all.
Oh, you have a cart? That'd be good. When you can see the tavern in the distance, then the unicorn is to the right, in the forest a short way. I can take you. If you think it's important, maybe I can do something good. And hey, you're the dragon wings. My dad says you're heroes. Baratheus looks down. Well, we try. We can fast forward a little bit. You're able to take the silly brats on your cart and drive them down the road, and as you first come around the corner, you see the front of Maladeth in full. And that's your cue to wake up the boy.
Well, it's time for you to go home.
So, as you go into the forest just there, it's only a short walk, maybe 10 minutes. You'll get to the river where the unicorn was. The deer was following it.
Kenna, do you want to go? I'll be right behind you.
Absolutely.
And so, as you follow Kenna, it's quite easy to make the walk to the river. And you see its head dipped over the edge of the water. A unicorn whose body is being torn asunder.
Is it possible for me to cast Memories of the Fallen on
I
it?
knew it was coming.
Yeah?
Oh, great. I'm gonna do said that.
Leovold, are you broadcasting?
Yeah, why not? I had a feeling this was coming. I'm
Okay,
ready
great.
for it.
So, yeah, I'm gonna, go on my knees and I'm gonna, motion Leovold to do the same.
And places
then,
his hand on your temple.
As we hold hands, right,
that.
spirits will rise, and then, yeah. Magic will happen.
You see a chase in fast forward. It seems to span weeks. You see the sun set and rise and set and rise and set and rise. As the unicorn flees, and Tanari chases it. But eventually the unicorn stops to drink. And feels the plunge of a blade into the side of its neck.
The fuck? That thing was able to chase that thing for weeks?
Quite persistent. Is its horn still present?
Yes.
What in the fuck could have actually managed that? Like, what is that exactly?
Balor is a very powerful demon.
Oh, that is the battle that we saw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. But, like...
Leave my music choices alone.
yeah. Yeah, the music choices. Yeah, about that. But, Jesus. How
I
do
know.
these battle?
Demons are powerful. And come in all
Yeah,
shapes and
but,
sizes.
like, being able to chase like that relentlessly for weeks and just keep pace like that, that's concerning.
Maverick and Leovold, give me an history check. Or an Arcana check, whichever you prefer. Oh, no, my
That's
Maverick
either
smashed.
a 21 or a 9. So the 21 was,
Yeah, you've got it.
21 was history.
You would know that a Balor cannot walk the material plane unless it is summoned.
Well, guys, I've got bad news. This
Oh.
thing cannot walk the material plane unless it was
Summoned.
So you're saying something very deliberately brought this thing here.
Yeah, someone had called it forth and then
Wait,
let it roam free.
Okay.
if it was summoned, then
Go on.
the summoner can't be too far off, could it?
Couple of
Ah.
weeks of
Could they?
chasing.
Chase this for
Kenna
weeks.
and Lucius. Give me a history check.
I'm not sure how summoning works. Whether
Natural
they,
20, 24.
whether they need to be
21.
tied to the summoner or whether they can roam freely.
They can roam freely.
They can roam freely. I've just got
Remembered.
that in. They can roam freely.
Lucius, you at the beginning of this memory, you saw that the unicorn was in a land you recognized as Arenti. Far, far, far to the southeast. What it was doing there, you don't know. But you might guess that perhaps that was where the demon was summoned.
Summoned, yes.
It clearly had a task.
Yeah. I'll.
Relay said
See.
information. Yes.
Either way. Kenna, do you want to bury this unicorn?
I would like to, but if we can take the
Give
time.
me a nature check.
It's 15.
You'd know that although unicorns don't really have preferences, cremation is safer. Unicorns have certain properties that can be sold on the black market. Unless, of course, you want to take the horn for it yourself and the tail and sell them for big dollar. Cremation is probably the way forward.
Or use them for something maybe. If
Mhm.
somebody had the capability
They do
to,
have excellent healing properties.
Yeah.
Burning
they
the
would-
body.
Yeah.
With everything with it. Well, no waste, not want not.
Yo, metagaming, Leopold.
True.
I am well aware of the value of this. If you have to do something, I'll be over there.
How diplomatic of you.
There is nothing.
Is there?
She said she'll be over there if you want to take anything from the body, but it will require a very high DC nature check to extract these properly.
Yeah, I agree with Kenna. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, does any of us know how to use any of that stuff?
The fucking foggiest. I will tell you for
Yeah.
free, if Kenna's not
No,
doing the
you wouldn't,
extracting, you ain't gonna stand a chance.
Yeah.
Bring her back and cremate the bastard.
Does the unicorn have like blood on it and stuff from where it was hit?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna use prestidigitation to clean it.
You said this thing was in pieces, right?
No. Just
Oh, it was just
a huge gash
Right.
and cleft through its neck.
Right. Okay. So
I will allow Shakar to cremate it so you don't have to cast any spells.
Oh no. I don't even need to cast spells.
Do we know how long ago it was killed?
2 days.
Okay, cool.
Right. How much like tinder and stuff is there? You know, just
Oh,
dried
it's
leaves. and everything
forest.
kicking around?
It's in the middle of the forest. Just cast a
Yeah,
fireball.
there's
That'll do.
plenty then.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not casting a fireball. No, I'll just gather up enough.
Firebolt.
Enough. Yeah. That
Yeah, don't cast a fireball. That's just indiscriminate.
that's overkill. Jesus, I thought you said fireball.
No,
Honestly,
okay.
that's what I heard.
So
Be producing flames as well.
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
watch
No,
the-
okay, just
as you watch the body burn, a small white light like a spirit goes up into the sky. You headed back to the cart?
Yep, I already started walking.
As long as, yeah, everything is ash.
Mm-hmm. It is.
What would what was the size of the cremation?
Size?
Yeah. Because obviously we don't want to leave a fire raging. But
No,
if
no.
it is the same size of like a small campfire, then I can put it out.
Kenna will be able to control the flames quite easily. When it's ash, she'll be able to let them die down.
Okay.
Hey, Kenna,
Part of our
question.
heritage.
The ash is here. Is there any sort of negative sort of connotations or anything to do with just sweeping the ash into the river, or should we just leave it here?
Awful for
Rather
the
they be
river.
scattered,
Yeah, let them to the wind.
not necessarily into the river, but scattered a fair amount.
Okay.
Wind is blowing. You know that they'll be spread out within hours. But you have an appointment. And 2 children waiting at your cart.
I'm already
Oh.
there, just talking to them.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty tired and fairly sleepy, but have a little chat with them. Simon says, "Really? That's annoying." I call him Simon, then I have to say Simon says. Simon tells you that. Simon tells you that if you want to drink and eat cheaply in the inn, he's pretty sure his father will be very glad for his return. The other child is called Wendell, and is the son of the candle maker, who lives a few doors down outside the city. And as you take them back, you see the rising walls of Maladeth outside, and there we end.
Weird.
Yeah, it is a weird place because we're mid-episode, but I did not expect the encounter with Valis to take as long as it did. I should have known. Huge lore dump, lots of information, and a chance to roleplay. Drathnor keep will take their time. So I didn't need to prep at all because I had all this written. But I did, so never mind. It means next week's ready. And that leads us to our tradition. I'd like to start with a really minor shout-out for the city music appearing in the middle of the forest. And then I turn to Josh for an MVP.
Okay, I was not prepared for this.
Someone's
okay.
got to go first.
Yeah, but now I have to think about what's happened. I really liked the little chat that Lucius and Maverick had outside.
Me too.
I mean, I'm not that I particularly like Lucius saying that we could all fight each other. And Maverick's like, no, I'm not hurting anyone. But I liked that little interaction. I liked, I mean, not that I liked, because, you know, I kind of want to see Lucius a bit more warmer. But it was kind of nice seeing him, like, chill a bit with Ionia, even if then afterwards, when getting teased about it, he's like, no, serious. So yeah, that's kind of nice. I was shocked. I was shooketh when everyone agreed to not go diplomatic. I was like, okay, this might be.
I'll tell you for free. Like I said to Josh that I saw the first big conflict coming, where I definitely saw 2 people falling on the diplomacy side and 3 falling on the shadow side, or 2 falling on the shadow side and 1 of you falling in between. I was absolutely shocked when you all agreed.
Yeah, I was.
Who do you expect?
Well, I thought Kenna and Rook would fall on the diplomacy side. You would fall in the middle, and Maverick and Lucius would fall on the silent side. It turns out you all just went the same route. I was very pleased. That's why Iona expressed some surprise later on. Because, yeah, I was really surprised.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised too, because like I know that everyone's kind of got this kind of, oh, for fuck's sake, the authorities, man. But I didn't expect us to all agree, to not go diplomatic. So yeah, I'll probably.
It's going to make it interesting, but I'm also kind of disappointed. I wanted to see you guys argue.
I mean, I'm sure we will.
We'll get there in time. We'll get there in time.
We will, just not today.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that one.
Okay. Matt.
I really like the Forest of Secrets. That was pretty funny. But I gotta give my MVP to James's storytelling, because out of character, I knew I had a brother. Like that was like part of my backstory, but like Rook didn't know. And then when you revealed that last episode that it was a sister, I assumed you just changed it to a sister. I thought that was really fucking cool. And then tonight, I have a brother and a sister. I was completely mind fucked.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you. I'll try. Yeah, it's difficult because sometimes you don't want to interact too much with a backstory, but sometimes you kind of want to give people something to bite on, something that's going to interest them personally, give them a bit of spotlight. So, yeah. And also, we sort of, I mean, it might have been surprising to some people, Josh mentioned this, to see Rook's father die so soon. And not become a prolonged antagonist.
I didn't expect to see him that early, like when we saw him last week. I thought it'd
the
be
sister
just like
is what's going to allow it to continue.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's really cool. And how you said that she's like close with the gnomes, and she was the one that was revealing all the secrets and stuff. I thought that was awesome.
Oh, I have a really quick question. Does Rook still carry around his dad's head?
Yes, it's in my bag.
Fantastic.
Is it just like constantly dripping blood?
Oh no, by this time it's dried up.
I don't know, and I don't care.
I just love his image that he's just carrying a really wet sack on his shoulder.
Glad we didn't offer the kids any of those rations.
I know.
Yeah.
Leonel,
Just leaving a
Jamal.
trail of blood behind him.
Jamal, your MVP.
I honestly don't know.
No?
Right now, I really don't know.
We'll pass it on then. Kira, Lucius.
I think my MVP is going toward the anticipation of developments. Shit's gonna get a little crazy, a little weird. It's gonna get not weird. It's gonna get crazy. I can feel it. It's gonna get a little crazy.
Yeah, there was
I think it needs to.
There was a lot of preparation to do this episode, which is why it took longer than I thought it would. Because the aim of Chapter 3 is sort of to allow a lot more free play, a lot more. Sort of this is the moment where the party come into their own and really get to make their own decisions, and they're no longer being guided by anybody in particular. And I too am very excited to see how that develops.
Yeah, that's what's driving me right now. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be
See,
great.
why is it when James says it's noble, but Kira, when you say it sounds so ominous?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like when you know it's like, oh, shit's gonna start happening. It's like, okay, but why are you saying that? Like you secretly got something planned? Like you're gonna wipe.
He always sounds like he's got something planned.
Yeah, I was
just an affair.
This is how I talk.
Alora.
I really enjoyed the mental imagery that I had this episode, especially Lucius storming in the door, and then Iona drunkenly wandering in, and I'm going to bed and just falling at the bottom of the stairs, and then Maverick and a naked Alamore walking in. There's a lot of really funny imagery this episode.
I'm glad. Jamal, does anything come to mind?
I'm struggling today.
Okay.
I really am struggling today to pin one thing down.
I mean, I've got a few moments that stood out for me. I personally loved Lucius and Iona's play, I guess is the right word for it. Yeah. It's not necessarily meant to be a romantic interest, although, it's obviously potential was shown. But just the sort of, the banter between them. There's definitely a mutual respect for each other's abilities and talents, with a lot of fun involved, and I like that. I had planned the rebirth moment for Chiqua, the spirit of the Kalashtai, of Alamore, for ages, and completely forgotten that it was going to burn him in a pillar of fire. So him being naked was news to me too. I suddenly realised, I got there and I was like, and he's naked. Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, how am I going to play this? Right, cool, let's go.
Thankfully, I have a robe to cover him.
So surprising myself was quite amusing. Yeah,
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, but the Chiqua moment I'd planned for ages. I think it's such a beautiful concept of the rebirth of the spirits. I stole it. Full reveal, I completely stole it of somebody else. But in a totally different way. I did it in my own style and whatever, but they were talking about the rebirth of the Spirit each year being the birthday of the Kalistari, and I thought that was beautiful. So I nicked it and thought, yeah, I'll run with that. And credits go to the Gilded Troll for that one. Yep, and I loved the anticipation of getting to Maladeth and my excitement for us to never actually get there this episode. That was greatly pleasing. You knew how I thought we'd get there because the city music was cute, and we just never did.
Actually, I'm gonna have to say that's gonna have to be mine as well. Because at this point, you know, if you give people storyline leads and the ability to just go on with conversation for an entire session, it's gonna happen. It's always going to happen.
Maladeth is going to move very slowly. There's so much conversation to be had. I look forward to it.
30 episodes in Maladeth, okay.
Josh's blanket assumption that every silent was a drow was beautiful. I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, they were.
I'll admit, my assumption was drow. Okay, they've got to have some link to those shady merchants.
The drow are definitely shady merchants, but they're not the silent.
That's why I assumed it, is because in like every like campaign, the drow are always painted to be like not the most nice. Maybe nice isn't not the most.
I will tell you for free, in this campaign, they are too evil to be the silent. The majority of the drow are too evil to be part of the silent.
See, why are drow always getting a bad name?
Because they're written as evil in the Forgotten Realms and in D&D canon. Which is why I always like to include a good drow somewhere along the line. Drow are my favourite race. I think they're fascinating. The concepts of the matriarchal society that men are constantly trying to escape from, and the concept of the goodly drow on the surface and stuff. I find it really interesting, so I always like playing with it. But a couple of other shout-outs to the interplay between Shakar and the elk and the sort of hunting moment, and how easily all of you, but specifically in that moment, Kenna, but all of you in general, just roll with little bits that are given to you. The demon and the unicorn, there was no sort of doubt. It was sort of, let's go. But yet you're also suspicious of everything and everyone, which is wonderful, because the counterplay of like, we're going to do the right thing and everybody might be an asshole is wonderful to watch. So that's my true MVP. But like Lucius, I'm also really looking forward to the development. Speaking of which, next week, Maladeth. All roads lead to.
Yes. Maladeth.
I expect a lot of party splitting.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's usually the case when you enter a big city like this. Thank you so much, guys, for playing. I hope you had a fun episode. I certainly enjoyed it. We are raiding, I believe. Are we raiding? Yeah, we are. Give me a second. We're going to raid someone I don't know.
Oh.
That's exciting, isn't it? The Law Runner. They are doing a Trenthar campaign, and they appear to have a very strange flag table system going on. So I thought it might be interesting. So if you guys would like to say farewell, we shall head on over there.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Catch you later.
You can find us tomorrow for our new flagship campaign, Episode 2, Urxos. 6 p.m. EST. I look forward to it. Very excited. The newest episode is on YouTube. You can find it here. As are all of our campaign episodes, and our TikToks are available at Eleanor197 Live. So please, go explore, and I shall see you all soon. Thanks for coming.